Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and on Tuesday, August the 5th, I hit rank 1 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboards for the very first time. My previous leaderboard high was 5th in the world, which I had equaled quite a few times, so this is a pretty massive accomplishment, and one that I am extremely proud of. Today, I'm going to be showcasing the team that I used. I played in the Open Great League to get there. This is a team that I've already posted a video on, but I felt that hitting rank 1 is such a cool achievement that it deserved its own full video. Now, the team I used to hit rank 1 in the world is a team built around a newly released Pokemon, Toedscruel. Toedscruel is a grass and ground type Pokemon with the moveset of Mud Slap, Wrap, and Seed Bomb. Part of why Toedscruel can be great in the Go Battle League is not only is it a Mud Slap user that can debuff opponents' defenses with Wrap, but due to its unique ground grass typing, it completely shuts down the toxic core of Shadow Kanto Marowak and Bastiodon. So now that we have a lead Pokemon that can shut down toxic teams, let's talk about what to pair it with. Toedscruel has no coverage against flying types whatsoever, meaning that any flyer is going to be really difficult. So, the obvious choice to pair with it is Dedenne. Dedenne is a Pokemon that received a buff this season with Parabolic Charge giving a guaranteed defense boost. This arguably makes Dedenne too strong. However, Dedenne's biggest weakness is it has no coverage into the ground types, so that's where Toedscruel is its perfect partner, as Toedscruel destroys all the other grounds. As a safe swap, I'm running the ever popular and ever powerful Lapras, as Lapras offers a ton of neutral play in just about every single scenario. So now that we have the team together, without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at the games that took me to rank 1 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboard. Hopping into the first match, and Toedscruel is going to meet its first lead, which is Azumarill. This lead gets better the more shields that are in play for the Toedscruel. Opponent is going to farm up a bubble, safe switch into Shadow Typhlosion, and I'm more than happy to stay in here with the Toedscruel, as Mud Slap is out-damaging Incinerate. Wrap does get shielded, and considering I know they have an Azumarill, I'm very happy to let the Toedscruel go. I don't need switch advantage. I have a Dedenne and a Skullbash Lapras that now has a massive energy head start. My opponent cannot afford to bring a Azumarill into the Lapras. They'll be forced to bring in their third because they're so far behind on energy and it's a bad matchup. And now, I'm going to have the perfect alignment where Dedenne will completely destroy Azumarill in the endgame. Here, I do accidentally throw one Side Wave too many, so I played to a CMP tie that I do not win, but luckily, it's just not going to matter because 2-shield Dedenne is going to be able to sweep this endgame. Arya gets them low, in comes Dedenne answered with the Azumarill, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. We move to the next match, and it's Toedscruel versus Shadow Annihilate. This is not a particularly comfortable lead as the Toedscruel. If you're able to get a Wrap shielded or a Seed Bomb no shielded, then this can feel pretty nice, but if it's the reverse, then you're probably going to end up losing the lead. However, in the one shield, Toedscruel can get Annihilate very low. So even though it's not a great matchup, I'm more than happy to set up farm for either Lapras or the Dedenne. In this matchup, I'm taking farm on Dedenne. They throw a counter, they hard pivot into Shadow Scizor, and this is a bit of a curious pivot. The fact that they switch lock to Scizor down energy, which means that they're going to lose this matchup, means that they have something even weaker to Dedenne in the back. This was not a switch they made because they wanted to, it was a switch out of necessity. I'm able to shield the Trailblaze, make it to Parabolic Charge number 2. That's going to be knocking out the Scizor. In the back is going to be Azumarill, and this is a very straightforward game, as Dedenne is able to deal massive damage to that Azumarill. Azumarill can fire off the Ice Beam to KO Dedenne, but Lapras will be able to clean up this game very, very comfortably. So I get to bring in the Lapras, and there's just nothing that Azumarill and 1 HP of Annihilate can do, so my opponent will resign the match. We've got a neutral lead in the next match, leading into Shadow Sableye. Opponent safe switches into Lapras, and I get to respond with Dedenne. Dedenne is going to be putting up an early shield because so far my opponent is very soft to energy from the mouse. I'm going to be firing off the Parabolic Charge. This will inflict some pretty nice damage onto my opponent. I decide that I value health on the Dedenne, so instead of tanking a move and farming down, I decide to just take the knockout. This means I have a +2 Dedenne, I'm pretty healthy, and I should be able to spam out moves at the Sableye and make life very uncomfortable for my opponent. My opponent is going to no-shield the Parabolic Charge. They're putting it all on whatever they have in the back. Dazzling Gleam will land, opponent gets the farm down, I bring in Lapras, in the back is Talonflame, and suddenly I'm in trouble. My opponent has played an overload strategy to perfection. They sacrificed 2/3 of their team to get rid of Dedenne, and now I'm in trouble as there's a Talonflame on the loose. I think I need to call a fly bait, so I no shield. They Brave Bird, that's massive damage. I barely hang on to make one final Sparkling Aria, but unfortunately, down goes Lapras, and it's all up to Toedscruel. Toedscruel will be forced to shield as my opponent will fire off a move. That's going to be the fly. There's the switch into Sableye. Sableye is able to make a last-second foul play. Foul play is going to land. The question is, can Toedscruel get a Mudslap farm down after this wrap? This game is going to come right down to the wire. Wrap is going to land. Toedscruel does not get the farm down. Talonflame hangs on with fractional HP. Fly KOs the Toedscruel, and unfortunately, we will lose that game. Toedscruel versus Shadow Sableye again in the next match. This time an opportunity for a bit of redemption. Shadow Sableye farming up energy here. Opponent tries for a Seed Bomb catch on a Talonflame, but I fired off the wrap, so thankfully I still get some value out of that charge attack. In comes Dedenne. I'm going to respect a potential Brave Bird, as even though it's resisted, it would inflict a ton of damage. They end up baiting with the fly, so as Dedenne, I'm more than happy to farm up to the back-to-back Parabolic Charges. Parabolic Charge is going to land, down goes Talonflame. Opponent brings in the Sableye, so I will immediately fire off the Parabolic Charge. Parabolic Charge is going to be shielded by the Shadow Sableye. I am now double boosted. Last game, I was able to tank a move from around this health range, so I decided to let it go. Power Gem does not knock out, and Dedenne, being high rank, pays off as I get the Parabolic Charge and force the final shield. In comes Toedscruel. This is a tough call to make. I decide to tank the move on the Toedscruel and instead bring in Lapras. I know that if I need a move on the Toedscruel, I'm not super far off, but considering they have Power Gem, I really didn't want to no-shield a move on the Lapras. So I look to farm up just a little bit of residual energy, fire off the Aria, KO the Sableye. In the back is Lapras, and Skull Bash will be key here, as Skull Bash, with the extra energy that I saved from overfarming versus Sableye, I'll get to buff up my defense first. So my Skull Bash is going to land. That's big damage onto my opponent. Let's see, do they have Skull Bash of their own? They do have Skull Bash. That's going to land. Here's the switch to Toedscruel. Toedscruel is healthy enough to get the Seed Bomb. We do barely survive those Psy Waves. Seed Bomb KOs the Lapras, and we're able to escape with that win. My next opponent is Yakai, the reigning world champion, and it's a dream lead leading into Dedenne. But that dream is turning into a nightmare as a Credilli safe swap stops me in my tracks. My team is very weak to Credilli in the back. So far, my opponent's team is incredibly strong into Lapras. My Lapras doesn't really have anywhere to run so far. We do see a shield come up from Yakai, and this is a tough call to make. I decide to shield, saying he won't go for the Rock Tomb, but he does go for the Rock Tomb, and that means now I am in danger of losing switch advantage. I could go down a shield for switch advantage, but then I think I would be in a losing position because my Dedenne Lapras backline would lose to an opposing Dedenne that's up a shield. So I'm forced to let it go and hope that my Dedenne will have play in the back. I really need him to bring in his own Dedenne here, but he has his own Toedscruel, and I have lost. We are running the exact same core, but his safe swap completely destroys my backline, forcing me to stay in with the Toedscruel, and unfortunately, I am going to lose this game. I have enough for the Skull Bash, but with Yakai already at +1 defense, even a Skull Bash would not knock out. I get the Sparkling Aria just to lose charge attack priority, and at this point, I know this game is over. Normally, I'm a big fan of top lefting when I don't realize there's a win con. In this scenario, I kind of wanted to know how much damage does a play rough do to a Toedscruel, so purely for scientific purposes, I stay in to play out the rest of the game, just to see how much damage does a play rough do. And it looks like play rough can two-shot. Obviously, I can never get to a second one, but it's useful information to have for the future. We move to the next match, and we see a familiar lead Toedscruel into Shadow Annihilate. Last time I played the ones, and honestly I didn't really love how that felt. I was able to win the game, but I think there's a better way. So I'm just gonna no-shield. I call the Rage Fist bait, I'm going to fire off the Seed Bomb, opponent catches onto a Diggersby, but I threw the Seed Bomb, so I'm very happy that that lands on the Diggersby. Now I get to send in Lapras. The fact that they safe switched Diggersby into a grass type is a bit confusing to me. The only way it would make sense is if they're running something like a Bastiodon in the back and they're trying to check for any potential counter users. So I will fire off the Sparkling Aria that KOs the Diggersby, and I do have quite a bit of residual energy to threaten the Annihilate. And what do you know, it's going to be Bastiodon in the back. Sparkling Arias will hit for super effective damage, and this Bastiodon is going to be demolished by my low health Toedscruel. Bud Slaps will inflict some serious damage, and they just can't really generate a lot of damage with Smackdown. There's the switch into Annihilate, but now I can send out Dedenne, and Dedenne will do a great job at shutting down this Annihilate. Annihilate was basically their last hope of getting rid of the Toedscruel, and now they just have no ability to do so. So I fire off the Parabolic Charge, opponent sees the writing on the wall, and concedes the match. We've got a Dream lead in the next match, Toedscruel into Clodsire, and a Dream safe switch, in comes Galarian Moltres. This situation could get out of hand though if I give a huge farm to the Clodsire, so I don't throw right away with Dedenne. Instead, my goal is to get the Dedenne as low as possible to limit the farm on Clodsire. This does open the door to my opponent potentially double shielding for switch, but if you look at the other Pokemon that I have remaining on my team, it's not like I'm weak to Clodsire. I have a Lapras. So my opponent double shields for a switch advantage just to learn that their Clodsire will not be getting a better matchup as it's Lapras as my final Pokemon. There's a Brave Bird and a switch into Clodsire. I'm worried that this is an attempt to lure back out the Toedscruel. So I'm actually going to keep Toedscruel on the bench for now and just stay in with Lapras and try and press my advantage. I am going to be respecting a potential Stone Edge or Earthquake, and it does end up being the Stone Edge. Now I can farm up with the Lapras, knock out with the Sparkling Aria. If they bring in the Moltres, I should be able to pace it with the Lapras so they can't get to a Fly or a Brave Bird. In the back is Shadow for Alligator, have to throw in the middle of their fast move. We throw mid Shadow Claw, and that's going to be all she wrote for Alligator. Skull Bash picks up the knockout, in comes Galarian Moltres. It's a race to the move, and Lapras energy management is exquisite. Sparkling Aria KOs the Moltres, and we're able to secure the win. Picking up a very nice lead in the next match as I lead Toedscruel into Shadow Scizor. Toedscruel wins that matchup just straight wrap. My opponent safe switches into Malamar. Malamar, a Pokemon that I absolutely adored last season. It's a lot more difficult to run this season with Pokemon like Fortress and Dedenne lurking. Dedenne has already boosted up its defense once, which means I'm going to tank this Foul Play very, very comfortably. Foul Play is going to land. I'm going to look to farm up because I'm hoping that by boosting my defense and over farming, I can survive 2 Bullet Punches to make a 3rd Parabolic. Scizor is going to get brought onto the field, and the over farm is perfect. We get to this Parabolic, and that's going to force a shield from my opponent. Back in comes the Toedscruel, down on energy, but up a shield. I will get to the wrap, and this is nice pressure onto the Scizor. Scizor is very frail. That's going to pressure the final shield. I'm up 2 shields to 0. I know that I do not get knocked out by a Night Slash, so I will let that through. Scizor is going to switch into Azumarill. Azumarill going to be met with the Skull Bash Lapras. I'm always going to be shielding up the Play Rough, and then looking to boost up my defense with the Skull Bash. Opponent baits with the Ice Beam, knowing that I'll always be shielded in the first. That is a devious bait, oh my goodness. But now, Lapras gets so much more difficult to remove from the field of play. Azumarill has farmed up so much energy, and I just simply do not mind. Play Rough, not going to be an issue. I'm looking to farm up with the Lapras. There's the switch into the Scizor. They have the Trailblaze banked, but I don't think this kills me. I no shield, and I survive. The matchup knowledge there with my Lapras. We hang on. The Aria is going to land. I get to go for Aria number 2 into the Azumarill. This will not knock them out, but it should put them in 1 slap range. In comes the Toedscruel. We get the farm down, and we're able to take the win. We've got some spice from the opponent in the next match. Toedscruel into Magcargo. They safe switch Shadow Jump Fluff, and I immediately respond with Dedenne. Switching after only 1 Mud Slap instead of 2 is vital there, as I need to get the Parabolic Charge defense boost up before they can connect with a hard-hitting Acrobatics or Energy Ball. It's going to be Acrobatics. Even with my +1 defense, that does quite a bit of damage. Now, I could knock out here with a Play Rough, but commonly, Magcargo lead teams are double grass in the back, and if it's something like a Superior, I need to get an energy head start on my Lapras. So I actually throw the Parabolic, I switch into the Lapras, and unfortunately, I'm not met with the grass in the back, but instead, I'm met with Magcargo. Even so, being up energy as the Lapras, this is still a very dominant matchup because obviously I can apply so much pressure with Sparkling Aria. And here, this is a terrible CMP tie by me. Not only do I risk my opponent potentially sneaking an entire free Incinerate, but I'm energy dry. They know this and they let this go. And in the back is going to be Chestnut. Even though I did not have any energy, what matters here is the Psy Waves. Psy Waves are adding up a lot on the Chestnut. I get to farm up and fire off the Sparkling Aria. The bluff of a Skull Bash is enough to pull a shield from my opponent. I switch into Toedscruel, hoping for a catch. I do not get the catch, but they also cannot knock me out with any one move. Frenzy only hits for neutral here, so I keep farming with the Toedscruel. I could have undertapped, but I kept watching for a catch that just simply did not happen. Frenzy Plant will pick up the KO, in comes the Lapras, we get the Sparkling Aria, there's no switch out from my opponent, and that means down goes Chestnut. One Psy Wave KOs the Jump Bluff, and we move to 4-0 in the set. Hopping to the final match, needing a 5-0 for rank 1 in the world, and it's a lead I like to see, as I lead Toedscruel into Shadow Scizor. I will decide to put up a shield here. They're going to go for the Trailblaze, and I'm immediately happy with that decision. Now I get to fire off the Wrap. Wrap will not knock out, but it puts them perfectly into one Mudslap range. So now Toedscruel gets to exit with a decent amount of health, and on top of that, Toedscruel gets to exit with some energy. Opponent will fire off a Shadow Punch, hoping that it will knock out, but Toedscruel is able to hang on, and I will get to my Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb not going to do a ton of damage to the Dusclops, but it does still add up. They're now below half HP. In the back is Blastoise, answered with the Dene. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. And that clinches it. The 5-0 set, taking me to 33-33 elo and a rank of number 1 in the world on the Go Battle League leaderboard. As someone who has played entirely too many games of Go Battle League across the years of having this channel, hitting rank 1 in the world always seemed to me like an unobtainable dream. Something that only the best of the best can accomplish, and it's a staggering accomplishment when it occurs. Now, don't get me wrong, I have gotten close before. I had gotten up to number 5 in the world, but I could never break any further than that. So, to suddenly, out of nowhere, on the last day of a Great League rotation, skyrocket up in ELO with a team recommended by a viewer to hit rank 1 in the world, I'm a little bit at a loss. I very much was not expecting it, but my goodness, this team was unbelievable. I did some math on the total sets that I did with this team, and I believe I went 18-7 with this team. The queue times were so tough that it was over the course of several days, but I believe the sets were 4-1, 3-2, 2-3, 4-1, and 5-0 for 18 wins and 7 losses, which is a crazy win streak going up against some of the best that the world has to offer. This is my first time hitting rank 1 in the world. It's something that genuinely I am incredibly happy about. I don't expect I'll be back to rank 1 in the world anytime soon, as the queue times to get there, the long waits in between matches can be very taxing. But my goodness, we did it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our wonderful channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel, it helps me do what I do. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.